singing over me. You have been so, so good to me. Before I took a breath, you breathed your life in me. You have been so, so kind to me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99, and I couldn't earn it, and I don't deserve it. Still you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Yeah. I was your foe, still your love fought for me. You have been so, so kind to me. Oh, when I was your foe, still your love fought for me. Yes, it has. You've been so, so kind to me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it, and I don't deserve it. Still you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Yeah, yeah. Whoa, whoa. Your love, it keeps chasing me down. It fights till I'm found in you, Jesus. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. You keep chasing me, Jesus. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. Lie you won't tear down, coming after me. Yeah. No shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. this love of God that keeps chasing me down. You keep chasing me, you keep loving me when I don't deserve your love. You keep seeking me, you keep finding me, you keep loving me even when I don't deserve your love. You are still there, you are still there, my God. Yes, you are.
Hi everybody, I'm going to be starting a series on Elijah and Elisha and all of the miracles that God does through them, and just kind of God's way of showing us who He is and the power that He has just by the little things. Even some of the smaller miracles of Elijah and Elisha just prove that God is powerful, and proves that He's powerful just because He can, really. And today I want to tell you a story about a woman who had literally nothing. She was in this impossible situation and everything looked like it was going to crash in on her. And then God asked her to do something that really made no sense to her, literally no sense in the world. It was something that went against everything that she thought she should do. And instead of refusing, instead of running the other way, she listens. And she does what God asks. And something incredible happens in her life. All because she was obedient with this one simple request that God had of her. And that request was to give a stranger some food. That's it. Sounds really simple, right? But in her case, it was very far from simple. It wasn't simple at all. The story begins in 1 Kings 16. A guy named Ahab becomes king of Israel, but things are not going so well with Ahab behind the steering wheel. Politically, they are not doing well, let's just say that. This is a familiar story with Israel. Israel says they want a king. They don't want God to rule them anymore. They ask for a king. God gives them a king. And what do you think happens? It doesn't go so well. Verse 30 says this: But Ahab, son of Omri, did what was evil in the Lord's sight, even more than any of the kings before him. Oh, that's a lot. So that's not really how you want your king to be described. He actually marries Jezebel, as in Jezebel, Jezebel, and starts worshiping the god Baal. How quickly they forget. They forget, and we too, forget the promises that God makes. Things in Israel are not going well. Verse 33 says, Then he set up an Asherah pole. Okay. He did more to provoke the anger of the Lord, the God of Israel, than any of the other kings of Israel before him. Okay. Now, just so you know, I looked it up myself. An Asherah pole was set up to honor the goddess Asherah. So it kind of goes without saying that God is seriously not happy with King Ahab. So God is going to do something to try to get King Ahab's attention. So God sends a prophet, and the prophet is going to gently remind Ahab that things are not going according to God's plan. So here comes Elijah. The Lord is going to use Elijah to remind the people of Israel who's in charge. And it's not who Ahab thinks is in charge. Elijah starts with telling Ahab that there will be no rain or dew in Israel until Elijah says so. 17:1. Now Elijah, who was from Tishba in Gilead, told King Ahab, As surely as the Lord, the God of Israel lives, the God I serve, there will be no dew or rain during the next few years until I give the word. That is quite the introduction he made there. I wonder how it went down. Did he say hi King Ahab, I'm Elijah, and it's not gonna rain until I say so. All right, have a nice day. Bye. I don't know, how did it go down? Essentially, that's how it went down. Elijah told them what was going to happen. Elijah left, and then what do you think happened? Exactly what Elijah said was going to happen. It didn't rain. Everything dried up, and nobody had anything to eat. So starts the story of our woman. The woman who was obedient, even though it didn't make any sense, even though it seemed impossible, for all accounts was impossible. But remember, we serve the God of the impossible. So this part of the story starts in chapter 17, verse 8. Verse 8, then the Lord said to Elijah, go and live in the village of Zarephath, near the city of Sidon. I will instruct a widow there to feed you. So he went to Zarephath. As he arrived at the gates of the village, he saw a widow gathering sticks. And he asked her, would you please bring me a little water in a cup? All right, so God tells Elijah to go to Zarephath, to live there, and that he had instructed a widow to feed him. So God may have told her to take care of Elijah, but as you'll see, she's going to have to make her own decisions on whether or not to follow what God tells her to do. All right, so recap. You got a stranger who comes to your village, arrives at the gates. You're a widow. In that time, life was very hard for widows, and that's probably why she's out gathering sticks. So this stranger interrupts what you're doing, asks you for a cup of water. Now, most people's initial reactions, I know my initial reaction would be, no. Hey, I'm busy here. Can't you see I'm doing something? Get your own water. But not her. That's not her reaction. Verse 11, as she was going to get it, he called to her, hey, bring me a bite of bread too. Anybody's friend or significant other ever asked them to get up off the couch and get something, and then just as you're about to sit back on the couch, they ask you for something else? Yeah, that's what he did there. This verse says, as she was going to get it. So, as she was going to get it means that she stopped everything that she was doing to go get this stranger a cup of water. Those sticks were what she was going to use to cook dinner. But just because he asked her to stop, she stopped to help him. She's already making choices here. She didn't have to get him the water. She was being kind to him. Now, as she's walking away, he calls out and says, hey, can you also bring me some bread? That'd be nice. That'd be really nice. Now, that would aggravate me, I'm going to be honest with you. You're a stranger. You just asked me for water. I stopped what I was doing, started to walk away. Now you stop me in my tracks as I'm walking away to help you, and you ask for bread also? Couldn't you have led with that? Can you get me some water and some bread? And not wait until I walked away and was already on task for what you had asked me to do? But hey. Verse 12 says, but she said, I swear by the Lord your God that I don't have a single piece of bread in the house, and I only have a handful of flour left in the jar and a little cooking oil in the bottom of the jug. I was just gathering a few sticks to cook this last meal, and then my son and I will die. So this stranger rolls into town, asks you for water. You stop gathering the sticks to cook the only tiny bit of food that you have left. You walk away to get the water. He calls out, hey, I'd like some bread also. So this was not Elijah just asking for a slice of bread out of the kitchen. This was Elijah asking for literally everything she had. The life-saving bread that she was going to make, because that's the last of what she had. He was asking for all of the food that she had left for her and her son. She doesn't get angry. She just explains the situation to him. She tells him, I'm just not giving you the piece of bread out of my cabinet. To her, this is not about just her. This is about her and her son. This is everything I have for me and my son. This adds a whole nother dimension to it for me. This is also all the food that she has for her child. I mean, I can't even imagine if a stranger asked me for the only food that I had left to feed Colton and Denver. I'd be like, no. I have no food left for me. That's fine. But the kids, I'm not going to give you the food for the kids. I can't do that. I can only imagine that's what she's feeling. But she had a choice to follow what God told her or not. And it said in the beginning that God had already instructed her to feed Elijah. So he must have told her to feed him somehow. But she still has to make this decision on her own. She has to make the decision. God will never force her or any of us to do anything. He'll tell us, he'll lead us, he'll guide us, but ultimately we have free will. God will let us know what he thinks, what he wants us to do and what's the right thing. but we have to still decide whether we're going to do it or not. Verse 13, but Elijah said to her, don't be afraid. Go ahead and do just what you've said, but make a little bread for me first. Then use what's left to prepare a meal for yourself and your son. She's like, Elijah, sir, I tried to explain to you that I have no food left. How am I supposed to feed you, my son, and myself? There's just, the math is not mathing. It doesn't work. There's no way this is going to work. It's just not possible. But you're still asking me to do this anyway, aren't you? Now, does that sound familiar? Kind of sounds like when God asks us to do something. God asks us to do something. We say we can't do it. We say it's impossible. And God's response is, all right, go ahead. You can do it, even if you think you can't. The request was followed by a promise from Elijah. The same way God promises us to make a way for us when there seems to be no way. And here it is. For this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. There will always be flour and olive oil left in your containers until the time when the Lord sends rain and the crops grow again. Well, that sounds pretty impossible. But remember, our God is the God of the impossible. Our God is the one who will always make a way. He made a way out of Egypt for the Israelites. He made a way through the Red Sea for them. He made a way through the wilderness. He made a way with manna from the sky. He made a way with water from a rock. He made a way when the walls fell down in Jericho. He always make a way. But let's just see if our widow believes that. So Elijah makes this impossible request of her and this even more impossible promise. She tells him that she has a tiny bit of flour in the bottom of her Tupperware jar, whatever she was keeping it in, and a little bit of olive oil left in the bottom of her big H-E-B bottle. There's a little bit left in the bottom. And this is his response to her. Don't worry, you'll always have flour and oil until the drought is over. What are you, crazy? That's not how the world works. You have flour, you use up the flour's gone. You use up the oil's gone. I clearly don't have enough to feed you. You're not making any sense. Flour and oil don't just reappear after you use them, do they? So it sounds like this widow has an impossible decision to make. Send Elijah on his way, cook what they have left, or follow what the Lord is asking her, and share the only food that they have left. With this guy, that sounds like a crazy lunatic, to be honest with you. Sometimes, in fact, a lot of the times, 99.9% of the time, at least in my personal experience, what God is asking you to do sounds nuts. Like completely off the wall crazy. But that's just because we can't see the bigger picture. God is using this situation to show himself. Not just to the widow, but to all of Israel, who at that time clearly had gone off the deep end and forgotten who God is. Let's see what she decides to do. So she did as Elijah said. And she and Elijah and her family continued to eat for many days. There was always enough flour and olive oil left in the containers, just as the Lord had promised through Elijah. So she decided to be obedient to what God was calling her to do, even though it didn't make any sense. I don't have enough food for me and my son. How can I feed this stranger also? And you say I'm not going to run out of flour and oil? That's crazy talk. Of course I'm going to run out of flour and oil. But if God wants me to feed this man, I'm going to feed this man. But that man, who seems like a raving lunatic, wasn't a lunatic at all. God did exactly what he said he was going to do. They did not run out of food. They did not run out of oil. God used her obedience to show himself. God is going to use Elijah in a mighty, mighty way to bring Israel back to himself. And all of this is setting the stage. Now, we all go through things where God is using a situation to accomplish a goal that we may not see. We all have decisions to make, daily, sometimes hourly basis. Just like the widow, do I listen to God or do I not? Do I do something that makes absolutely no sense right now, or do I run away and never find out what God had in store for me? So I have a challenge for you. My challenge is the next time you have an Elijah show up in your life, the next time God himself asks you to do something, or someone like Elijah asks you to do something crazy that you know is from God, just do it. The next time God asks you to do the impossible and promises to do the impossible through you, believe him and go ahead and do that impossible thing with God's help, because he will always keep his promises, just like he did for the widow here. God asked you to do something that sounded crazy through Elijah. Elijah asked her, feed me the only food you have left. But don't worry, you'll have food until the famine's over. Sounds crazy. But she went ahead and did it. And what did God do through her? He did the impossible. And that's exactly what he can do through us. I'm going to pray. Dear Lord, I thank you for this story of Elijah. I thank you for reminding us of your goodness to us. I thank you for reminding us that you are the God of the impossible and that anything is possible through you. Even when you ask us to do something that seems to make no sense in the moment, that seems to be completely impossible, that seems to be completely off the wall, you've shown us that not only can you, but you will come through for us. You never break your promises. You never go back on your word. And we thank you for showing that to us. In Jesus' name, amen. I'm going to continue the story of Elijah and then into Elisha as the weeks go on. So this is the first of our Elijah, Elisha series. I hope to see you back next week.